Lent is a time for us to ponder and think, and John presents us with a great question. At least from this passage, this is what I glean. What does it mean to be the church of Jesus Christ? Our lesson for this morning begins in the context of Jesus and his disciples. They are journeying to Jerusalem for the Passover. You will notice in John's gospel there are 3 accounts of Jesus attending the Passover celebration. This is the first one. Passover, remember, was a joyous celebration. Hearts and minds remember the Exodus event and the deliverance of the Jewish people from the oppressive rule of the Egyptians. Jews from all over would come and travel to Jerusalem for this great celebration. Jesus heads to the temple, the sacred place, the dwelling place of God, and there he encounters a fair-like or open market atmosphere. It's crazy and loud and crowded, bustling with activity and sounds and smell. The cattle are bellowing, the sheep are bleating, the doves are cooing. There is a sound of laughter and coins are clinking as the money changers are busy at their table, exchanging the currency, the coins, so that they can pay the temple tax that was required of them. Animals are being sold to accommodate the folks who needed a sacrificial animal without blemish to be used as an offering. All the activity actually was explainable and needed. It was reasonable and logical that these services would be offered to make it easier to adhere to the law. But Jesus' actions cause us to sit up straight and pay attention. It seems that Jesus comes upon the scene and he is outraged, he is furious at what he finds. What a stark contrast this is to the Jesus who had just earlier been a part of a wedding celebration where he performed his first miracle or sign when he saved the day by turning 6 stone water jars into the finest wine the folks had ever tasted. Jesus, seeing what's going on, grabs some cords, fashions a whip, and then goes on a one-man wrecking crew. He drives out the cattle and the sheep, and then he turns his attention to the money changers. And I, like Corey, when I read the other accounts, think of one table, but I think that John makes it obvious that there's more than one, so he takes all the tables and he turns them over. And the money goes flying, and the men and the women go after the coins that are there. He then says to those selling the doves, "Get out! Get out! Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." Where is that sweet, gentle, meek, mild Jesus that we like, that we're used to? So yes, we do need to sit up and pay attention because something is going on here. We know that this is an important story because all 4 Gospels include this story in the writings. Unlike the Synoptic Gospel, John does not have this at the end, but rather at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. Also, unlike the Synoptic Gospels, John does not infer the reasons for Jesus' anger was because he saw the merchants taking advantage of the people. In the Synoptics, it's clear, or at least it's presented, that it was a justice issue, that they were robbing the people, that they were charging more than they should. Here in John, he seems to offer a different approach to the story. Instead of pointing fingers at others, making them examine their faithfulness, I think John wants us to be introspective about our faithfulness, our call to follow and serve. Perhaps what this text is asking us to do is take a long, hard look at what's going on here this morning in our worship, in our relationship with the Almighty. I want to share with you a parable. One day, a man went into a bus station in Athens, Georgia, to buy a ticket to Greenville, South Carolina. The ticket clerk told the man that the bus was running late, so to pass the time, the man decided to walk around the terminal. He came across a machine that claimed to be able to tell your age and your name and your hometown and so forth. The man, being a little inquisitive, put a quarter in the slot, and instantly a ticket popped out that read, "Your name is Bill Jones. You are 35 years old. You live in Athens, Georgia, and you are waiting for a bus to Greenville, South Carolina, but it is behind schedule." The man stopped. He was dumbfounded. How did this machine know such facts? So he reached into his pocket again, and he pulled out another quarter, and he inserted it in the machine, and a ticket came out again, and it read, "Your name is still Bill Jones. You are still 35. You are still live in Athens, Georgia, and you still are waiting for the bus to go to Greenville, South Carolina, but it is still behind schedule." A man couldn't figure this out. He was enthralled with it. He was astonished. How could this be? So he decided that he would go next door to the dime store. And what he did is he walked over there and he bought some Groucho Marx glasses and an exaggerated nose and mustache. He bought a pair of fake ears, a funny hat, and a cane. And wearing this disguise and walking with a limp, he returned to the bus terminal. He approached the little machine and he tried to act old and feeble and got out a quarter and put it in. And out came the ticket. "Your name is still Bill Jones. You are still 35 years old. You still live in Athens, Georgia. You are still waiting for the bus to Greenville, South Carolina. However, while you were fooling around, you missed your bus." The parable, and it is a parable. I wonder if we have become so busy fooling around, doing all those things that we think are needed and necessary, that we have neglected to pay attention to the really important stuff. That we've forgotten to pay attention to what it means to be the church of Jesus. You see, which is so interesting about this passage, is that the money changers and the folks selling the animals were providing a necessary service that was intended to help them be faithful in their worship. The question is, how had it gotten to the point that instead of helping, it was hurting? When did it move from the realm of being useful to being a distraction? When did it go from helping out to being a hindrance? Perhaps those are the questions that Jesus would ask us today. Are we helping those who walk through the doors of this church to know God in deep and meaningful ways? Lent is a time for us to reflect, to reconnect, to evaluate. The challenge for us during this Lenten season is not to seek quick and easy answers, but to rather allow these questions that come forth to live with us for a while. What does it mean to be the church of Jesus Christ? When you come to church, do you expect to encounter the mysterious wonder of God? We, you and I, the faithful community, are called to be the incarnate body of Jesus Christ in our community. And friends, what we have to understand, if we're not hearing, then how are others?